Hola chicos, hoy vamos a hablar sobre el subjuntivo. The subjunctive in Spanish, as you guys can see here, is a unique thing that you guys have actually never encountered before. And you guys do have with you a note sheet, so I'm going to want to make sure that you guys are writing your notes down as we go. Okay, but I'm going to also explain by going through this sheet and trying to make things clear to you en inglés y español también. So, empezando aquí, apuntes del subjuntivo. El subjuntivo no es un tiempo verbal, es un modo. Let me explain what this means. So, this literally says the subjunctive is not a verb tense; it's a mood. So, this is a weird concept in for English speakers, but it is everyday life for Spanish speakers. And I do want to state that we do have this in English. It's just really hard to hear. But here's what this means. We have past tense, I went to the store. Future, I will go to the store. Conditional, I would go to the store. Those are verb tenses. This kind of is a verb tense-ish, but really the big piece about it is that it's a mood, it's a feeling, it's a sentiment. So it says, hasta ahora en español solamente hemos estudiado tiempos verbales, presente, pretérito, imperfecto, presente perfecto, condicional, etc., en el indicativo. So indicative right here, this is a mood. So is subjunctive. So you see two words here that are moods. And in the indicative, we have studied the present, the past tenses, the conditional, the past perfect tense, or present perfect tense in English. But all of those fall under indicative tense. And an indicative tense just means it's certain, it's real, it's happening. So in the present tense, you might say, I like to play soccer. That's a true statement. It's real, it's certain, we're good. Preterite, I went to the store yesterday. Yep, that happened. We know it's certain, so we're good. Imperfect, when I was little, I used to play with Legos a lot. I still do, but of course, certain statement. Present perfect, I have lived in Spain before. True statement. Conditional, I would do this, except I don't have time. Again, another true statement. All those indicative things, it's a sense of reality to them. The subjunctive, it's less about reality. So it says, se usa el indicativo para indicar la realidad. As I just said, reality. It's objective, it's impartial, it's just a fact. Pero se usa el subjuntivo para reaccionar o compartir una opinión o emoción. So this is less about fact and more about feeling. So, some examples. If somebody were to say, yo espero que, I hope that, then we're going to actually have the subjunctive because we don't know. So somebody might say, I hope that you have a really nice day today. But we are not sure if that person's going to have a nice day or not. So there's some doubt. There's some insecurities about that. Another one, quiero que. Same type of thing. Quiero que tengas un buen día. I hope that you have a nice day. But again, I don't know. One really popular phrase in Spanish is ojalá que. It literally means like God willing that. But it's more thought of as just like, hopefully this happens. Es necesario que. It's necessary that something happens. Es necesario que tú hagas la tarea. It's necessary that you do the homework, but like, I'm not sure if it's going to happen. Es importante que los estudiantes estudien. It's important that the students study. But again, I am not sure if it's going to happen. It's an emotion. It's not fact in terms of what my students are going to do. So if I say it is important that the students study, fine, that's one thing. But if I say hey, students, it's important that all of you all study, I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. It's about this sentiment of me being a little insecure about it. Hace falta que, it's lacking or it's necessary that something happens. All of these pieces on the left are called indicators. These things are like keywords for the subjunctive tense. And when these phrases happen, the second part of the sentence is oftentimes in subjunctive. Notice that all of these have the word que. And we're going to talk about that right now. So in a sentence with subjunctive, the order looks like this. You have your indicator, like these 6 sentence indicators that we had above, you're going to have K. That's why all of them have K. And then here's the trick. See, subject 1 says the indicator, and then the second part has to have a different subject. So it says, in order to use subjunctive, you need to have a change of subjects. You can't just use verbs in combination. So what this means right here is I can't say, I hope to get an A on the test, because I'm the only person I'm talking about. I could just say, yo espero sacar una A. I hope to get an A. Because I was talking about me the whole time, I could just put those verbs together. Yo espero sacar, right? But in the examples with subjunctive, there's a switch. So person A says something about a hope, a desire, a wish, a emotion about somebody else. There has to be a change in subject. So instead of saying, like I said before, I hope to get an A, it would have to be something like, I hope that my students get an A, because I'm hoping something and the students are getting something. There's a switch. So some examples. Espero, yo form, que hablemos más tarde. I hope that we talk later. Yo and nosotros are not the same thing. But if this were indicative, you could just say, yo espero hablar contigo. I hope that I can talk to you later. See, there's only the yo form here. Right side's just the yo. That's why we can do verbs in combination. Left side has yo and nosotros. Or another one. Es necesario que todos hagan su tarea. So this is just a fixed phrase, but it's different than ellos. Versus todos necesitan hacer su tarea. Everyone needs to do their homework. This just has the ellos. See, we've got this conjugated for ellos, so we can do verbs in combination. Everyone needs to do their homework, or it's necessary that everyone do their homework. Here's an example in English, just FYI, where you get to see subjunctive. Normally, you're going to hear the phrase, everyone does their homework. Everyone does their homework at 8 o'clock in class. Okay, but look at in English. It's necessary that everyone do their homework. Side note, but it does happen in English. And lastly, ojalá que vayas a la fiesta. I hope that you go to the party. Again, impersonal, and then two form. Those are different. Versus probablemente vas a ir a la fiesta. Like probably you'll go to the party, but I'm just only talking about like you, vas. That's it. So we have two different subjects here, and here we only have one. So it's really important that you have an indicator in the first half, split by K, and then some other sort of verb in the second half with a different subject. So para formar el subjuntivo es idéntico a formar mandatos formales, and we just worked with formal commands. So what you do is you take your verb and you put it in the yo form. All right, so we did like hablar goes to hablo. Take off the o, hablo, and add the opposite ending. Hablé, or escuché, or escuches. And normally we want to say like escucho, escuchas, but we have the opposite ending. See, this is AR, so we're going to have ER endings right here, ER, IR. And these two have ER, IR endings, but look, they have AR endings when we say them. Now, it's really important to put this in the yo form first because of, look at tener. The yo form of tener is tengo. So when you take off the o, you have teng, and then it becomes tenga, tengas. But if you don't do that, you're going to miss some of those things like a G in tener, tengas. And that's why it says at the very top, be careful with the irregulars. But it's just the same exact formula as we used for formal commands, for usted, positive and negative commands, and ustedes, positive and negative commands. But there are still some things you need to be careful of. So, for example, if you remember in the preterite tense, we dealt with car, gar, and zar verbs. Well, those are still going to do the same thing. The reason in the preterite why that happened is because the yo form, and that's the only form it happens in, the yo form in these AR verbs ends with an E. Well, AR verbs in the yo form still are going to end with an E, but it's everywhere now. So we have to be kind of careful with these because if you think car, gar, zar back in the day, now we're thinking like, oh, car, gar, zar, but like everywhere. So, for example, you might have practicar, and that'd be practique, Q-U-E, practiques, Q-U-E-S, practique, practiquemos, practiques, practiquen. And you'll see the Q-U all the way down. Same thing with cargar. to charge something or carry something. So cargue, G-U, cargues, cargue, carguemos, cargues, and carguen. And then if you have a verb like empezar, like we do at the bottom here, you'd have empece, empeces, empece. And that would be like empece, empiece, empieces. Perdón, don't forget you're going to put it in that yo form, so you'll have the stem changes. So empiece, empieces, empiece. And as we keep going down, we're going to have that C. There are some other things to be careful of too. Something like that ends in a CIR or CER. You might have learned some of these, hopefully, in the preterite as well. They're going to get a ZC. So it'd be like reduzca, reduzcas, reduzca. And we're also still going to have J changers. So proteger would be proteja with a J, not a G. Because if it were a G still, it'd be protega with a hard sound. So proteja. So it's really important that we have these spelling changes to make sure that the words sound as they always should. And again, here it says for boot verbs that end in IR. So we are going to have boot verbs. But it is important that we still have these changes. And we had these as sandal verbs before, E to I and O to U. So in the preterite, we would have seen like durmió. Well, we're still going to have an O to U. Or prefirió, preferir. So in the forms of, in el subjuntivo, then we're going to still have the en el subjuntivo de nosotros and vosotros. But we're not going to have AAR and ER stem changers. And that's the same as it was in the preterite. So, ojalá que nos divirtamos. Mi mamá quiere que durmamos. Espero que tú pidáis. But notice, pidáis comes from pedir, an IR verb. Durmamos, comes from dormir, an IR verb. And divirtamos comes from divertir, an IR verb. So these are all IR verbs. This is only going to happen with IR verbs. That you're going to see this like all the time. And as with the commands, there are for sure going to be some irregulars. So they're still going to be irregular in this form too. So we have dar is just irregular in these two forms because day gets an accent so that it's not confused with day, like of. Estar is going to get some accents as well so that it's not confused with your words like este, like this. This and these have T's. Like este, estos, este, all those. So we're going to have accents on like este, estes, este. With ear, it's going to be, again, vaya. We've seen vaya before with the commands. Let's recognize vayáis is going to try and have an accent right there. Ser is sea, as it was before with the commands. Sea, 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 seamos, seáis, and sean. And then lastly, saber is sepa, just as it was with, well, I guess this is the first time you'll be seeing sepa, but it would be the same thing with the command. So this would be just like an usted command. So there are irregulars. I want you guys to try and fill all of these in. And then last but not least, let's also keep in mind that the subjunctive form of haber is haya. This is going to be very crucial going forward. You need to know haya because it's going to help us learn another tense later. So all in all, it's just important to keep in mind that it might look different. We might be looking like we're conjugating things differently, but we're really talking about a mood. There's some uncertainties to something. There's a hope. There's a wish. There's a desire. And as long as there's a subject change and there's a K, as long as we start a sentence with indicators, we are going to have subjunctive. And people oftentimes will ask me like, hey, Senior Nemo, can you just tell me like how often does this happen? Guys, almost as often as the indicative. This is just as important as everything you've learned in Spanish 1, 2, and 3 to this point. Subjunctive is a daily life thing that people use all of the time. And I use it in class with you guys. You just might not necessarily hear it all the time because if I say something like necesito que vosotros escuchéis, you might hear escuchéis and hear escucháis in your head, and they're pretty similar. But it's common, guys. It is super common that we're going to have this. So moving forward, please make sure you guys get all the notes on this and we can move forward with some practices.